Hey, so what's going on, everyone? So, I thought I would do a discussion video on my 2022 book, 575, my first haiku collection. Alright, if you are new to what I do as an independent author, I will give you a little bit of backstory on this. In 2018, I decided I was going to up how much stuff I do as a writer instead of just trying to focus on one book, just embrace my scatterbrain ideas and do whatever I can and see what I can release each year, which has worked in my favor. But one of the writing exercises I did to kind of make sure that I'm still writing frequently is I took part of the haiku challenge on Twitter. For those that are wondering, that means every day for a calendar year, I wrote a haiku for 365 days. And I did it again in 2021. So the original plan was just write a haiku on Twitter every day. That way I'm keeping my writing exercises up, so I'm still writing every day. And even on the days where I've got writer's block, I've at least written a 17-syllable poem. With me doing a post technically for social media every day, me doing this and then having the interactions means it's helping me in the algorithm on social media, so people are seeing my posts, not even just the haiku stuff, but the stuff where I'm sharing book links or little snippets of other WIPs I've got. And 3, it also just helped with me learning words to use, and it was a pretty good exercise. So during 2018, I forget when it was, but it was towards the latter part of the year, someone commented, "Hey, how many of these have you written?" So I checked, and I want to say it was like day 220 something. I said, well, according to this, I'm now at 221 of 365. And the person responded with, well, when are we going to get this haiku book? And that wasn't my plan. In 2018, I already had books lined up, and I was already actively doing anthology appearances that were going to be coming out in 2019. So I told the person, I said, right now there's no plans. And I also don't think that would be a good idea because haiku are based in Japanese culture, and I'm not Japanese. I don't want to feel like I'm whitewashing something. And I just kind of left it at that. I was doing it for the writing exercise and something to kind of keep my social media presence active, in this case on Twitter. And I didn't think anything of it when people were asking about it. And towards the end of 2018, I get a message in my DMs on Twitter from one of the publishing companies I've worked with. Hey, can you send some of these to me so I can feature them in one of the upcoming poetry anthologies? Sure, why not? So I go through and I think I picked 8 or 9, and they got published. I'm not going to be leaving the link for that particular book because that book's now out of print, and those particular haiku are available in 575, as well as my compilation poetry book elsewhere. I'll have links in the description below for both of those. So I don't think anything of it. 2019, I'm spending so much time doing anthology appearances that I don't even think to do the haiku challenge again. 2020, we all know what happened that year. 2021, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this again. It was fun. It helped my social media presence. Why not? And once again, I get responses with, so, you're doing this the second year. You know, by the end of this, you're going to have 700, I think I was told 730 haiku between when I did it in 2018 and doing it again in 2021. Unfortunately, 2021, I didn't do every single day. I think I ended up with a little over 200. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And it kept getting requested. So, at the end of 2021, I announced a plan. And that was, for those that follow strictly my poetry stuff, you're getting Elsewhere, which is a compilation book. You're getting Omni, which is my follow-up to the Paradox Complex. I announced the Omni follow-up, which I will talk a little bit more about in a future video. And I reluctantly admit to doing 575. And when I announced this, I thought a lot of people were like, yay, Omni's finally got a release date, because I kept having to push it back for various reasons. I thought people would like Elsewhere because this would be the first time that some of my poems were going to be featured in one of my books. No, the one that got the most excitement was 575. So much so that I had someone go, yay, you're finally doing this. And I remember responding with, you do know you can read all of these on Twitter for free, right? Someone said, yeah, but I can finally get a haiku book from you. I had straight up mentioned to someone that these were available on my Twitter to read at any given time. And the person straight up said to me that they would rather buy the book than view it on Twitter. I'm aware that right now, with things going on with Twitter, a lot of other people would agree to that. But at the time, I was a little surprised. So, after Elsewhere had come out, I had reached out to Mary, the cover artist for this, and I got her thoughts on it. I said, hey, just so you know, a lot of my followers really want me to do a haiku collection. Would you be open to doing the cover for 575? She was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. I was like, so I haven't had any issues with what I've said yet, but here's why I was reluctant to do it at first. She said, well, if people are asking for it, I'd say go ahead and go for it. So I was like, all right. So when it came time for her to do the cover, she asked me what I wanted. And usually I just give something vague and just let her go with it. Because yes, part of it is me hiring her to do something for my books, but I also want her to be able to do something that she's happy with as far as the artwork goes. I don't want her being like, well, he gave me a lot of money, so I thought I'd do it. My thoughts are, if Mary's doing one of the covers for one of my books, I want her to be able to say, I drew that. So I told her, I was like, well, the traditional form of haiku is nature-based. So could you do something nature? And since a lot of artists are starting to do a little bit of watercolor stuff over there, I think you could add a little bit of watercolor to it. So let me see what I can do. I haven't done watercolor in a while, and I don't know if it's something I can easily transform to digital for a book cover. I was like, all right. A couple months before this was released, she sends me the basic sketch without the leaves. Said, just because fall has different colors, I'm thinking about doing an autumn setting, but here's the actual picture so far before I do the watercolor. Once I do that, there's no turning back. Are you okay with this so far? I was like, of course. So she showed me the basic part before, because I think she layered it a couple times and said, all right, here's what it looks like so far. Again, is everything good? I was like, keep going. What I saw was great. And she eventually showed me like the final, like actual watercolor painting that she had done, which was essentially this without the title and my name on it. She said, all right, here's the final thing. Again, if you don't like it, I'm going to have to start from scratch. I was like, no, this is good. If it's something you can turn to digital, go for it. I said, also, the next book cover, I promise I will not ask for something this specific, because I know she was going through some issues trying to get everything together for this. And then she showed me the final product, and I was like, that looks great. On one end, I'm sorry that I asked for something this specific, but at the same time, as great as this cover looks, because I personally think this is the best cover that she's done as far as any of my books go. It's like, I might have to be specific again. And she mentioned how much she liked doing this book cover, so she wasn't really against it. As far as the content itself goes, I had close to 700 haiku by the time it was done. And I don't know why, but I kind of decided I was only going to go with 200. And while I was writing or selecting some of the haiku to go in here, I looked at some of the older ones like, I feel like my writing has improved. Let me take this one and I'm going to rewrite it right now. I'd rewrite it, make sure it has 17 syllables. I was like, all right. So because I didn't want to feel like I was just straight up, hey, here's 200 haiku that you can read for free on Twitter in a book that you have to pay $10 for, I did include some brand new to this book haiku. And I did that partially because I felt like my writing has improved since 2018, but I also wanted to make sure from a business standpoint that I'm not just giving or putting a bunch of previously free to read stuff into one book. I don't know the exact number. I want to say it's between 20 and 30 are exclusive to the book, with the others being from the Twitter haiku challenge I did first in 2018 and then again in 2021. And for those that are wondering, if you have the book Omni, the inspiration for the poem Spotlight, the opening lines are from this book, because I was initially a little reluctant to put something out that people could just go on my social media profiles and read. Then came time for the release. And I don't know why it ended up happening the way it did, but it ended up coming out right around the same time as Omni. And Omni was doing really well. The success of it streaming on streaming services for the poem Fastlane pretty much paid for all the marketing. So I was still promoting that when this came out. And next thing I know, people are talking about this more so than they're talking about Omni. I was like, okay, I will start having this at events once the print books arrive. And my first event that featured this book was an outdoor event. And someone asked me, hey, how did this one come about? Because they were new to who I am. And I mentioned everything. It's like, okay, I'll buy this. This book ended up being my best-selling book at that event. It's still doing pretty well. The people that have bought it, by the way, please put a review on Amazon, have pretty much told me how much they enjoy the book. I don't know when, but yes, there will be a second haiku collection at some point in time. 575 features 200 haiku written by me. Most of them are from the Twitter challenge from 2018 and then again in 2021, with a select few being new to this book. So check it out. The link for the book will be in the description below. And as always, if you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. You like what you see? Leave a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have already checked out 575 and what are your thoughts on the book. But that will do it.